Good morning, everybody. Very warm welcome this morning. I stood up here earlier as we were going through the music and I said, who am I? Where am I? And sometimes I feel so relaxed up here, I forget that I've got to do something. But then the opposite of that, ouch. I'm not relaxed anymore, something fell on me. All will become clear later. Anxiety dreams. Anybody has anxiety dreams? One of mine is that I'm about to do a talk or an exam, and I look at the notes or and I can't see anything, or it's in another language, or it just goes all blurry. And I said that to Lee this morning. I said, have you ever had that anxiety dream? And she said to me, well, actually, Mike, if that happened, you'd be fine. You'd just go along with it. And I thought that's a lovely attitude. What a lovely attitude. How about that for life? I think that's part of the theme for the service today. How about that for life? Whatever happens, we're going to go along with it and do the best we can within it. Next Sunday, the start of Holy Week with Palm Sunday, when we think about the time where Jesus carried on going forward, knowing, sensing what he was facing. The shadow of the cross was getting nearer and nearer. And it's also going to be a communion service. We have our usual, we don't do usual in this church, do we? We have, as usual, we have our Good Friday service on the Friday. And if you arrive at 10 o'clock, you'll be smelling hot cross buns and coffee in the welcome area and silence in here. And then after that, at 10:30, we start a short, quiet, reflective service. And I love this. No offence, everybody. I love chatting with you. But part of what I love at the Good Friday service is at the close of service, to reflect the mood of the service, we all leave in silence. Quite a powerful part of the day. Then on Sunday, we come back celebratory. First Sunday, and some churches will be doing this. Oh no, what's going on? The first Easter Sunday, I think in years, that we haven't had baptisms. I love baptisms. I love baptisms on Easter Sunday. But it's just different. And we know that baptisms will come in and as the right time. That's the main thing, not forced, as and when. But we come back on the Easter Sunday. If there are children here, because sometimes we get lots, sometimes we get a few, sometimes we get none, we're going to put on a little Easter egg hunt for them. And if there's no children here, then will you be willing? Yeah, find the Easter eggs, good. A few weeks ago we had our covenant service, and a covenant service, something us Baptists do and others do, where we recommit, if we want to each other and to God, if we want to. And for church members, that is a really serious consideration, reflection beforehand. And yes, I'm part of this picture. And for others too, others of you who have been here, maybe it was your first time that Sunday or whatever, some of you decided to commit to, I want to explore faith more, or I'd like to journey with this church more. And the response was, we had 2 puzzles made up of this picture, the glass behind me, and you were invited to take one bit of the puzzle, if you want, and put it by the cross, or pin it to the cross. Many of you did, you can see that. Children as well. And the other part was to take a piece of the puzzle home, to remember whenever you see it that you are part of the bigger picture. You're part of this. You're part of something a lot bigger. If that day wasn't the right day for you to do that, and on whatever level you want to do that this morning, if you do, then during the first song or whatever, feel free to come forward and take 2 bits. One to place at the foot of the cross and one to take home with you. Going to look at some words from one of the prophets from the Old Testament, so hundreds of years before Jesus came. We're going to see some words from Isaiah on the screen. And God's promise, which was, as we know, partially fulfilled in Jesus. And I say partially because God's Spirit, the Spirit of Jesus, is still with us today, continuing to fulfill this promise from God. If you'd like to, should we say these words together? I will lead the blind by ways they have not known, along unfamiliar paths. I will guide them. I will turn the darkness into light before them and make the rough places smooth. These are the things I will do. I will not forsake them. Can I invite you to stand if you're able? Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. There is none beside you. All Every now and then in the church, we have an interview, a chat, and I invite somebody up here to do the scary thing, because it's always about vulnerability, and me ask them a few questions. They might know the kind of direction we're going in, but again, the trust, the faith is that they don't know. We don't know exactly where it's going to go. And Caroline's going to come and join me this morning, so can we show our love and encouragement to Caroline? So, first of all, thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this morning. Was it scary? I invited you. We had a chat a couple of weeks ago, and I invited you to come up here. How did that feel? And do you mind saying how it does feel coming up?
Not as scary as it probably used to, because I know everyone here, and it feels safe. I have to admit, it's not as scary sitting here listening to you ask questions as it was when you said to me, would you like to write the monologue? Yeah.
So, should we show our love for the monologue written last week as well? Yes. And one of the things, so we had a coffee, and at my second office, or third office, I think it was Coast, wasn't it? And one of the things we chatted about was what we're going to be touching on today. And because it's relevant, and it's so relevant for where we're going today, actually, it's wonderful. Do you mind starting back wherever you want to, when you started going to church, how old and what that was like?
I don't remember how old I was when I started going to church, because my parents had always taken us since we were really little, so I don't remember when I started, but I remember going always in my childhood. I remember that the best friends I had were the ones I knew from church rather than the ones I knew from school. I remember my brothers not wanting to go and having to go anyway, but I never felt that. And I don't know, because obviously I was a child and I probably didn't understand those sorts of feelings. I don't know if I went because I wanted to go to church, or if I went because I wanted to make my parents happy.
And in terms of happy, in terms of nice memories, I don't know what comes to mind when I ask you this one. Whether it's, so as a child, then we can move on to your teens, but as a child, do you have any happy memories either of a person or an experience at church?
I mean, nothing that stands out. They all sort of just roll into one, really. But as I say, I remember that my best friends were the ones I knew at church, and a lot of my cousins went to church as well, so we had that in common, which was nice. But I don't remember any specific moments.
And the phrase, again, when we use phrases in this church, we're trying to point at something that's helpful, but there's lots of different phrases. Coming to faith, sometimes we talk about coming to faith, becoming a Christian, becoming a disciple, becoming a follower of Jesus. Whatever phrase you use, was there a specific time when you either made that decision or recognized that you had made that decision?
Again, it's hard, because I think I sort of fell into it, really, because I never had the prodigal moment of going away from church. I don't remember ever having the moment of what life was like without it. I was, I think, about 12 or 13 when I got baptized, so it must have been before that point. Interestingly, I got baptized not at the church I was going to at the time, but at what was called Church of Christ the King in Brighton, because the pastor at Holland Road at the time didn't baptize people under 14. He didn't think they were ready. Interestingly, a few years later, when his own daughter was in that position, he apologized.
As a pastor, when my daughters wanted to get baptized very young, it was me who said, should we pause and just wait? And then actually the one who was most keen, it was for different reasons. And actually for her, it was following the crowd. And I didn't say no, I just, should we wait? and then it was within a couple of weeks she changed her mind. So with you, you made that decision very young to be baptized. Was that momentous in any way, or was it just, when you look back, was it significant for you, do you think?
I think it was significant, I think, in a way, because it showed everyone else that I was at that point. I had known for a while that I was ready to take that step, because I just knew, and it wasn't following the crowd, because, well, I've never been one to do that anyway. But also, I think I was probably, as I said, I was very young, but it's not like all my friends had been being baptized. It's not like there was a mass thing going on. I remember knowing that I wanted to do it, and I remember knowing that, I think the comfort of knowing that my parents knew that I was ready as well, and that it wasn't just me ticking a box or doing it because it was like the thing that everyone was doing. I think knowing that my parents supported me was really helpful there.
As you became a teenager, and maybe as a young adult as well, whatever you want to talk about, did your faith, did it grow? Did it develop? Did your understanding grow and develop? And if so, how?
For a lot of years, I actually hid it. I didn't tell people at school because I was already having a really tough time. I was bullied a lot at school, and the one thing you don't want to do is give anyone any more ammunition to be unkind to you, so I didn't tell anyone for years. I was very quiet about it because I was scared of how people would react, and that's something that I had to sort of, for want of a better expression, grow out of again. And when I was very quiet about my faith for a lot longer than perhaps I might have. But once I'd finished school, it took a long time for me to tell people that side of me, because I just was afraid of how they would react. So yeah, that took a long time. That was probably one of the hardest bits for me of the journey, was not that I had left church, but that I didn't talk about it.
And in terms of teaching within the church or churches you're a part of, youth groups and then I guess sermons and other kinds of teaching, did you tend to think they knew what they were talking about and yeah, and absorb it and download it, we talk about, or was there a lot of questioning going on at the time, or both?
I think a bit of both. I think it was I trusted that the people who were leading knew what they were talking about. And I think I remembered the points that obviously resonated with me, and I remembered the very good ones. Most, if it was just an okay sermon, I probably wouldn't have remembered it. I remembered the good points, and I remembered the ones that come up every year, Christmas, Easter, those, but there's always a moment when you hear something that you've heard several times and suddenly someone says it differently or looks at it differently and a little light bulb comes on. I think they're the moments I remember.
And we were just singing about faith and trust, so not so much intellectual understanding and doctrine, the things we believe in, but in terms of faith and trust in God, again, whatever language you want to use. How did that develop over your teens and early adulthood?
I think my approach to God changed. I used to think it mattered how you pray, not what you pray. I thought it mattered, you have to use the big words and you have to sit in a certain way because that's what they teach you at school. You must sit like this and do it like this. And I think my understanding of things like that changed because not that I changed in it really, but that I understood that it was okay to do those things differently. I tend to find I pray best when I'm walking. Don't know why. I just find that the actual process of walking unjumbles my brain in a way that nothing else does.
One of the things that within the membership, I chat to anyone, but within membership, the ongoing offer is there to meet up for coffee. You don't have to like coffee. Meet up with myself to, if you want to reflect on something. It doesn't have to be a problem, but to reflect on something. If you, in terms of your discipleship, your journey, you want to talk through something, reflect. The offer's always there. People do in different seasons. Some people don't, or haven't yet, I should say. But obviously it's confidential. But with Caroline, it was confidential. But then I asked if they didn't mind actually sharing some of this, hence this morning. But do you mind saying something about why you wanted to meet up for coffee and what the opening, after we talked about the nice coffee and the bun and whatever it was, the reason behind wanting to meet up?
It was because I felt stuck in a sort of... it's hard to put it into words. I felt that I'd got so comfortable in my faith that it was almost like I was just ticking boxes again, I've come and I've done this. And it really noticed at the covenant service when I stood up to put my puzzle piece on the cross, and something in my mind was saying, are you doing this because you want to or because everyone else is and you think you should? And that was quite a moment for me because, as I say, as someone who's always believed from a young age and always gone to church and never really had the light bulb moment, I suppose, it can be easy to get complacent about church, and I didn't want to be in that spot where it just became a habit. I wanted to be here because I wanted to be here, and that was why I said to Mike, I think I need to say this to someone else to get it out so that then I know. Because I think for me, the very fact of voicing it, of being able to say it aloud, helped a lot, because then I knew it wasn't just in my head anymore. It wasn't just going round and round in my head. I'd said it to someone.
And again, say whatever you feel like saying, but how did it feel before you voiced it, and what was going on for you as you voiced it?
Yeah, it was a sense of relief to be able to voice it, because it had been going round and round in my head, and I'd been thinking about it and thinking, what do I do about it? It's all very well to say, pray about it, read the Bible, go to church, but those were the things that I was doing anyway. And I thought, how do I stop it feeling like a habit whilst doing the things that feel like a habit? And the fact of voicing it and saying it out loud and saying, look, this is where I am, it made it easier to think about ways of not being there, because it wasn't just a thought in my head anymore. It was, okay, I've said it, now I need to do something about it.
And Caroline knows this, but in your minds, what do you think went on in the heart and mind of the minister when they heard somebody expressing a problem? Not a problem, but a problem like that. What went on, do you think? Just ponder that. Then I'll tell you. I thought fantastic. First, that Caroline had the courage and energy and wanting to actually meet up to talk. I thought that was so fantastic. I respected the actually being vulnerable and voicing that and not pretending everything's fine and going through the motions. So, and I think I reflected this back to Caroline. It just felt so healthy that was being spoken out. And not about me, but about this church. Do you mind saying something about, you went on to say why this environment, you lot, we, us, why you felt able to express this within a church community like this.
Partly because we're a small community. It's easy to get to know people, so you feel like more people will understand, and you're not looking at a great room full of everyone staring at you thinking, what are you doing? What are you talking about? But also because we are a church that, that accepts things like that, that says, it's okay to question, it's okay to feel this way. Nobody's immediately going, that's not a Christian thing to do, we all get it. And I think that it's that very real, honest side of us as a church that I love.
And this stage of your journey, has it been, and will it, do you think, involve questioning, reflecting on some of the things that you were taught, picked up? Is that part of it as well?
I think it has made me think about a lot of, I suppose, church habits is what I mean. The way that certain churches, that things are done, and people just assume that that's the way it's done because that's the way it's always been done. And it's made me think a lot about, how it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to always leave the chairs in the same place. I know that's a really simple analogy, but it's, it is okay to question and think and look at things differently, because people think differently and learn differently. And if the way you've been taught it didn't work, then try and learn it another way.
Anything else with all this in mind? And it can be anything else that you'd like to add to Voice.
I have been doing, actually, funnily enough, since I wrote the monologue, I have been doing a lot of writing of things along those sorts of lines. And I found that that's really helped me a lot to be able to write things down. I'm not good at writing isn't true. I'm not good at keeping journals. I don't journal. But to have been able to just have time to have written stuff down and write the thoughts that have been going on in my head and remind myself, it's okay that this is how you approach your faith and your time with God. And I've found that really helpful, just writing things down.
That's something that came out in our conversation, because we hear about lots of different ways here, and I sometimes share what I find helpful personally, but it's not one size fits all. And what was beautiful is how you do use writing to explore, to express your creativity. And what I love as well, not just, you've been proactive as well. Do you mind saying something about the writing course as well?
I have just been this week at Ashburnham, which, if you don't know, Ashburnham is a Christian conference centre. It's just outside Battle. And this week I've been on a creative writing retreat. So it's all been about writing, predominantly about writing about spiritual things. We had the sort of theme for the week was things witnessed, and there was a lot of writing prompts about what what you'd seen and how you translated like witness and things. It was very interesting, and it gave me time to write a lot of things out. Yeah, it's been really nice to just be able to focus on God a bit more and on on all the ways that I understand him, and to remind myself that he knows that's how I think, and he knows that's how I understand him, because he's right there with me, and he made me that way and made my brain work in that way. So it's okay that it does.
Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful place to end. Thank you so much. And should we show our love again? Thank you so much. please have a seat and let's have a moment of prayer. If you feel comfortable, you might want to close your eyes. Maybe in the silence you want to lift up your life fresh to God, the past, up until this moment, however long that may be. You might want to lift up this moment, this very moment, the rest of our time together this morning, the rest of this day. And you might want to lift up however long you've got until you meet God face to face. I don't know what you want to say to God, if you want to say anything to God in all of that, but in silence, perhaps between you and God, if you'd like to, maybe you want to express something about your past, your present, and your future. You might want to express your trust in God. You might want to express your doubts. You might want to lift up your hopes. We sing about hope this morning and read about hope. You might want to lift up your fears and concerns and anxieties for you personally, for those you know, and for the wider world. Lord, our offering this morning to you is ourselves. Amen. Going to ask Gerald to come forward and read words which will be familiar to many, and let's try and hear them afresh.
So this is from Matthew 28, 16, 20. Yeah, I'm not used to holding my phone. Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. Then Jesus came to them and said, "All authority in heaven, on earth, has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age."
Thank you. That's wonderful. This thing that attacked me earlier today was a gift given to me at my last church, so about 17, 18 years ago, just before my ordination, on leaving the church. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. And they would have probably tattooed this on me if I wanted a tattoo at the time, because in the church I was seen as an evangelist, and I always used to say, but not that type of evangelist. It was about my heart wanting people to, if they wanted to, taste, experience, come to know something of which I had come to know about God through Jesus, and did have the beautiful opportunity, which has happened since, of seeing people, again, phrases, come to faith, come to an understanding, grow in a depth of faith. And it still warms my heart to see that. Warms my heart personally when I grow in my relationship with God, and warms my... Because bottom line, not a pushy evangelist, don't want to impose faith on anybody, you can't. I believe it's the most important thing, the most all-embracing thing. And it's good news. Oh, that's it. That's the other bit. It's good news. Not often as it's made to sound or feel like. Beyond belief, what comes next? Beyond belief, believing, what comes next? When you look at that picture, it might feel a little bit counterintuitive. It might feel that when you're talking about faith, why is the path going downwards from the top of the mountain? Because I often used to imagine faith as climbing higher and higher and higher, reaching the top, arriving, getting somewhere, as if coming to faith was the summit. But what if coming to faith, however it happens, we heard from Caroline, that almost like crossed into this region without realizing? That's one way, very familiar way. Others make a decisive decision at a certain stage. But what if that really isn't the end of the journey? That really isn't the finishing line? That isn't really the spiritual high, if it's a spiritual high, that we stay at. But it is the beginning of a new season, an important new beginning, a deeper stage of it. Not about continually going upwards and upwards and upwards or staying on the mountain, but going deeper, deeper, deeper. Not about climbing higher and higher. And I know what it's like to chase spiritual highs, because they feel nice and they boost you and they can be encouraging. Not everybody experiences them, but I also know personally and have seen how it can become very unhealthy when people chase spiritual highs and those spiritual wow moments, and what their lives look like and their faith can look like when they don't manage to stay on top of that mountain, and who can. Not about climbing higher, but about becoming more real, more congruent, more truly ourselves. This is the heart of discipleship that I believe Jesus was pointing at, getting at, and displaying. In our reading today, the disciples, so there were 11 disciples left, 12 minus 1, Judas, who had taken his life. I still believe within the love of God, but that's another story. But they meet Jesus as instructed on the mountain, and this is in the Galilee region. We don't know exactly which mountain. It could have been where the Sermon on the Mount was, or somewhere else in that region. A beautiful place overlooking Galilee, which some of us have had the pleasure and wonder of going towards. But they're on the mountain, and we hear that some of these believe. Hey, some believe at this crucial moment after Jesus has died, risen again, before the ascension back to the right hand of the Father. But they don't stay on the mountain. They come down. Not because it's all downhill from here, but because the journey will continue for them in a different way. This reflects what Franciscan monk Richard Rohr talks about, that deeper faith isn't about climbing higher and higher and higher, achieving, but falling upward. Falling upward. A kind of descent into growth, transformation, and depth. Our inner journey, our becoming, our true self. Very different, and you would have had different experiences, very different to how Christianity is often imagined and taught. Dare I say sold? No, I do dare say sold, because some people sell the Christian faith like salespeople. It's easy to think of becoming a Christian as the big moment where you've arrived and that's it. Whew! Whew! Just wait for Jesus now, come back, or meet him face to face. Life sorted. But reaching the summit in this sense isn't meant to be the end of the story, although it does seem to become that for many. That's something we saw. We've been looking at the Narnia series, C.S. Lewis's series, Edmund, Lucy, Eustace, Puddleglum, and others. None of them ever arrived. All of them continued to develop in the mess in different ways over time. through struggle, encounter, failure, courage, all by grace. None of them, anyone trying to become perfect still? None of them became perfect. They became more real. None of them reached a point where the journey was over. But something in them deepened as they carried on step by step by step. In many ways, our own journeys, your journeys, our journeys are different. For some, as I say, coming to faith was very gradual. For others, it was a precise, specific moment. But wherever that point comes, if it comes, it isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a lifelong invitation to go deeper. In fact, little secret, God was in the story before that moment as well, working in your life and trying to work in your life. Faith always, always, always contains both belief and doubt. Always go together. There's a line in this very well-known reading that really matters. When they saw him, when the 11 saw Jesus, they worshipped him. Their understanding, the penny dropping for them, even those really closest to him, had been slow, and getting some of it, missing some of the point, getting a bit more, missing a bit more, and so on. But at this point, some of them recognized that a deep way his divinity, God in flesh. They believed, but, this is it, the missed line often, some doubted. Some of the disciples doubted. On the mountain, how could they? How ridiculous. How could they? Right in front of them with the risen Jesus, some worshipped, but some doubted. The Greek word distazo, great word, distazo, hesitation, having two minds about something. Such an important detail because it tells us something about discipleship, following Jesus. Doubt isn't a failure of faith. It's part of being human and part of being a disciple. I felt quite proud of this when I came up with it this morning. Distazo doesn't have to be a disaster. Tattoo, no. It wasn't the end of the story for those who doubted. They weren't excluded or told that, go back down the mountain, come back when you're a little bit more certain. They were still there, they were still included, still part of what comes next. And we know through other parts of the Gospels and other parts of the New Testament that what came next was a lot of trial and tribulation and stuff. And I'm sure doubts came back and hesitation came back, both for those who believed in that moment, but also for those who had doubts in that moment. Of course, questions would arise, uncertainty would arise for all of them. Of course, there would be times of confusion, struggle, and rethinking. Have you ever experienced confusion with your faith? It's normal. Well, healthy. If you're certain, you might not. That's not healthy. Faith isn't a fixed state that we arrive at and hold on to forever, like a permanent spiritual high. It's living, sometimes elusive, sometimes unfolding, messy, something that can deepen, but not passively. Doesn't just deepen as part of the journey we're on, and not certainly in a neat way, not in a straightforward way, or, sorry to say, not in a painless way. If you want your faith to deepen, but you don't want any pain or suffering or struggle, you can't have both. This passage today, rather than people being neatly divided into believers, yay, and doubters, ooh, I think this is really a picture of all of us, a mixture of trust and uncertainty, clarity and questions, worship and wondering, what's all this about? And that matters Because in church culture, doubt is often treated as something embarrassing, something to move past quickly. Let's pray for you, brother, sister. Something that suggests we're failing. Pull yourself up, believe more. This text doesn't allow that. The risen Jesus is present. Imagine, picture it. The risen Jesus is present, and still there is doubt. Yet people are still included. One of my favourite lines in the New Testament is the Father who wants his Son healed. And the disciples haven't managed to do it. And Jesus says, do you believe, to the Father? I believe. I believe. Help me with my unbelief. Is that you? That's me. I really do believe. Help me with my unbelief. Questioning doesn't need to be the enemy of faith. It's actually a vital part of how faith becomes more honest, more spacious, more real, deeper. Certainty, we've all met them. Maybe you've been one or are one. Certainly can look more impressive. Wow, they don't have a doubt in them. Look how they quote verses. They are really certain about everything that they're talking and teaching. Wow. The opposite of faith isn't doubt. It's certainty. Don't need to trust if you're certain, because you know it all. Brian McLaren, Pastor Brian McLaren, former pastor, his way of looking at faith I find really helpful. There can be different stages, not better than in some ways, but different stages of simplicity. I believe that, and that. Complexity, oh my word, people think differently to me. Which one do I choose? Perplexity, oh my word, I've tried all I've told to try, and I was told that would actually make my life all carefree, but it's not happening. I've got lots of questions, I'm perplexed. And there can be, through the questioning, a deeper place of harmony. There's paradox, there's mystery. Not everything is answered, yet, like a child, I still believe. We don't have to stay where we started in faith, but the development does involve wrestling, questioning, and discomfort. It can feel so unsettling. I know, it feels really scary. But it can actually be part of the movement into depth. I know I say this a lot, and I'll carry on saying it a lot, because I believe it a lot, because going deeper is not automatic. It's one of our possible responses. It doesn't happen automatically. What is often missing, and has been missing in churches for many, many years, somebody who loves church and churches, is depth. I've been reading books from 15, 20 years ago. We're missing depth. I've been hearing new podcasts about now depth. We are missing depth. Not just the decision, I believe. Not just, I believe that, up here. But our formation, discipleship, following Jesus. Not just the starting, but the continuing. Jesus says, go and make disciples, teaching them to live the way I have shown you. Churches often, I believe, in my experience, focus far too much on the first part. Go and make disciples. Go and make disciples. Get the numbers up. Go and make disciples. Good motivation as well. Go and make disciples. But the second part of this teaching matters just as much. They're learning to live the way of Jesus. Our learning to live the way of Jesus. I don't mean to have a critical heart. It comes out of a love for church. But I think many do try this and have tried it. But when they do, it ends up with legalism or purity culture or pressure to perform. Who wants to perform and go through the motions when there's something deeper? It's about learning a way of life over time, learning to love God, learning to love others, and yes, learning to love yourself. Discipleship is an inner journey. This language as well, it can be really misleading. It sounds as though discipleship, coming to faith in the first place, and discipleship is something that's done to you. Go and make, go and make, go and teach, go and make, go and teach. It's all to be done to us by somebody else, to want to be disciples and disciples. That makes it not your responsibility. It's the responsibility of those doing it to you. The church will teach you. Don't worry, the church will teach you. The leaders will form you. Preachers will explain everything to you. We'll find a course that will transform you. You just need to download it and absorb it. All of those things matter. Teaching matters, mentoring matters, companionship matters, the church matters. But going deeper isn't something that can be done to you or for you. It's something you either choose to enter into or not. And don't flip into the wrong side that goes on again. It's not down to your strength and your cleverness or mine or your willpower. It's all down to grace. But grace doesn't cancel the importance of our response. Because God, out of love, doesn't force change. Depth cannot be imposed. Which means that your openness matters. Your willingness to keep on walking step by step, even when it's tough, matters. Your willingness to become more self-aware. Your willingness to stay open to God and to others. To stay on the path of descent. Falling upwards. These are real choices. The fact that it's a choice, I think, explains why people's journeys vary so much after coming to faith. Some do keep on growing or appear to, often through ups and downs. Some settle into certainty. Oh, I know it now. Just need to tell everybody else. It can look impressive. Some double down when questions arise. No, push them back. Don't allow questions. This is what I believe. I'm very certain. Many drift into simply going through the motions. Do you recognize any of this? Some walk away. I think that's really understandable. I think I'd rather see somebody walk away from faith with an opportunity to rethink it and rediscover it than just go through the motions for the rest of their lives and fall asleep. If faith has been presented to people as an upward climb, higher and higher and higher, rather than deeper, 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 then the uncomfortable descent into faith will be followed by a disillusionment. Consumerism in churches has been and is rife. It can become consumerist, as though everything depends on finding the perfect church. Then I will be whole and right and healthy and have my carefree life. The perfect teaching, don't come here if you want perfect teaching. The perfect environment, don't come here if you want the perfect environment. Church doesn't have to be perfect for you to grow. Teaching doesn't have to be perfect for you to grow. Your life circumstances don't need to be perfect or ideal for you to grow. Mine never have been. This is why I can say it with conviction. Mine never have been. Never have been. None of it. Any depth I have, any depth, it comes from that. God works in imperfection and mess because he has no other choice, because we all live in mess. Anybody not live in mess? So yes, teaching matters. Discipleship isn't passive. It's not sit back and have depth done to you. I want to go deeper. Make me go deeper. It's an invitation to participation, to openness, to awareness, to choosing to remain on a path. I love it that what I would call truth can be touched upon in many different ways through people of no faith, different faith. I love some of the teachings of the Muslim Rumi. I love this. Yesterday, Rumi says, I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I'm wise, so I'm changing myself. Doesn't mean we don't get involved in the other, but without this, there's something in which his teaching there resonates deeply with the teaching of Jesus, because so much of what he invites us into, Jesus, isn't about managing everything out there, but about becoming more aware, more open and more real within. So what we then do, help, give, listen, overflows from who we are becoming. Because it's dangerous or unhealthy when it's the other way around. Again, in the Narnia stories, I was really shocked by this. Deeply upset by this part of the story. C.S. Lewis, what are you doing? Right at the end, we're told that Susan, one of the main children, is no longer part of Narnia. No longer part of the story. Because something in her has drifted. Don't want to fall into female stereotypes, male stereotypes, which you could read some of that into, and how some people read the Garden of Eden, all that stuff. It's not about that, I don't think. Her story, this is a beauty, isn't presented as finished. But she's drifted away to the things of the world. But it doesn't have to be the end of the story. It feels very honest in the books when I read it, even though a bit painful, because the journey of faith doesn't deepen automatically. It can drift, it can settle. I know personally it can become something we once knew rather than something we are living now. Which is why going deeper doesn't just happen. It's something we enter into by staying open, staying curious, and continuing to walk. It's never too late. It's never too late. Please, look, I'm 60. Getting on a bit. I know, oh, you're young still. Oh, no, you're very, very old. It's never too late. 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. If the penny drops then, it's never too late to go deeper. Don't use it as an excuse. Oh, I'm this age now. Don't use it as an excuse. Let me draw this together. This is good news. Have you ever had pain, struggle, conflict, unhappiness? This is good news. Everything in life can become part of going deeper. Parable of the sower, the different types of soil, the same seed, the good news, Jesus' words, going on the path, snatched away, going among rocks, shallow soil, kind of like, wow, fantastic, woohoo, and then get snatched away again. And then, the troubles of life come along, and I think that is the most amazing parable, because I've seen that so much over the last 35 years. All of that in how people respond to the gospel. But it's not fixed. What if it doesn't have to be that way? The weeds, the distractions, the pressures, the disappointments. What if these aren't just obstacles that will snatch our faith, but they are the very place where our faith can grow and deepen, depending on our response? Doesn't mean suffering or whatever is good in itself or confusion is easy. But what it does mean is that whatever life throws at us in its messiness, as we started the service, I'm going to work with that because I know God is working with that. Questioning, curiosity. For some of us, that helped us come to faith in the first place. It's how our faith deepens and continues. How it remains alive rather than settling into certainty or shrinking into routine, however nice that might be. So perhaps the invitation this morning, please hear the invitation, isn't have no doubt, get rid of that doubt, just try harder. But it's simpler and harder. Keep walking. Keep walking. Stay open. Stay curious. Remain willing. Stay awake. Keep allowing God to meet you in the real conditions of your life. Not waiting for those ideal conditions, which will, fantasy, will never arrive for you or me. But this is the good news. In all of it, Jesus says, I am with you always. Sometimes obvious, sometimes hidden. A bit like Aslan in the books. The invitation, very finally, isn't just to arrive, but to allow faith to become deeper, more real, by grace. But please hear this morning. You know it. Our response is the key. By grace, but our response is key. What will you choose? What will you choose this morning? What are you choosing now? What will you keep on choosing when you leave this building? What will you choose tomorrow when you wake up? If you wake up. That's not a joke. If you wake up. Maybe you'll meet God face to face before that. We all will one day. But what will you choose each day you wake up until that glorious day? Whatever comes your way. Optional. Some of you will have read this before. Please have the freedom. Please don't read any of it if you don't want to. But if you'd like to, feel free to speak out as loudly as you want or quietly the response words. God of truth and love, you call us not only to believe, but to keep walking. When we're tempted to think we have arrived or that the journey is complete. Where faith feels clear and steady. When faith feels uncertain and doubt sits alongside belief. When we're tempted to settle into certainty or routine. When curiosity stirs within us and questions begin to rise. When we look for perfect conditions before we're willing to grow. When distractions, pressures, and difficulties come. When we hesitate at the invitation to go deeper. For you are with us always, not only at the beginning, not only on the mountain, but all along the way. So lead us on the deeper road and shape us into people of wisdom, compassion, and courage. Amen. Hearty amens. please feel free to stay for coffee. Come forward for anointing after the service, even if you don't understand what that's all about. But as you go, may you come home to yourself and find God already waiting there. And may Christ dwell within you. And may you go in peace. Shalom.